points from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in at December 9th, 2021, and the stock market is widening. And now, before we get ahead of ourselves, this does not mean the volatility is over. It's actually a very, very big key. But if you are watching what happened today, we were able to still go up, but this time we did not move 1%, and there was a lot of different moves. That is what we mean by widening. If you were watching throughout the day, even as the S&P was doing nothing, the high ticker would go crazy, the low ticker would go crazy, the financials, they did not do as good today, but then some industries, some names, even like Apple, they really, really killed it, and now this is pointing towards the market widening. This could mean a value rotation. This could set us up for a rally, but it is also showing us that volatility is still existing. So, overall, a pretty boring day, but very exciting for what it means for the rest of the week. I'm sure either tomorrow or at the very least Friday, we got one more 1% move left in the tank until Powell next week. But overall, there was still a lot to digest, and everything is pretty much the setup for next week. So, we got a lot to talk about. I want to go over everything that happened in the market today, the plays that we made. I only made, I think, around 2 of them, but we're still holding a lot of other plays, and I got a couple of other plans, and then the plays that we have for the rest of the week. So, let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the play, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes, if you can translate social media into being a talk about inflation, then yeah, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off the bat, like I said, today saw a lot of widening, but what it was showing with that small, less than 1% move, that is showing you volatility is calming down. However, since we're coming off of the heels of such big moves, you'll see when we, actually, all right, we'll just go to the pretty picture here. This is what we've been talking about over the last couple of days, just the overall move since the beginning of the whole Omicron and all of that. You could see that it's been a 4.4% drawdown within about 2 or 3 days so far. This is our third green day. We have already recovered it, so this has been a big level, but now today has been the first day in a while where we just did not move a lot. So now this is really saying pretty much 2 things, or one or the other. It's either that the market is coming back to normal, things are going to start leveling off. Maybe it was an overreaction. We start chilling out. Maybe we start getting ready for the Santa Claus rally, but it's just not this whole 1% up, 1% down, backwardation on the VIX, none of that stuff. That is option A, but then option B, it could very well just be the momentum in this 3-day rally kind of getting tired, and then depending on what the headlines are tomorrow or how we come into the CPI, if we start getting these big moves up or if we gap up just to end up 1% down, then the volatility is still there. So today was very interesting, and that's why I'm using the word widening, because again, if you were watching today, you saw a lot of different industries start to move, and you had a lot of 5, 6, 7% gainers, but the market, the whole index was barely moving a quarter. So pay attention to some of those winners and losers. We talked about a lot of even the safe havens, if you remember how Apple's played, but even like Roblox and Airbnb before that, some stocks responded a little bit better and then dropped later. They've came back to normal, but then some stocks, they're still kind of below the levels of when we had all the drama. So it's a very interesting thing we got going on here. By the end of the week, we should know. There will still be a little bit of uncertainty coming into next week. Again, Powell is going to be the most important thing, but now as we get into these final 2 days, we want to see, does tomorrow give us a big move or not? It could very well be small, and that's why we want to see, is it slowing down or are we coming back to normal? Because then by Friday, the catalyst with CPI, that should give us a large move. Now, we went over the pretty picture already, but essentially for the rest of the week and even what we've seen so far, we've gotten economic data and a lot of other central bank data. You heard from Canada today, they didn't touch anything. And then Brazil, they did a rate hike. It's their second one in a row. So that's kind of more global tightening, but not that big of a deal. Pretty much none of the data has really shocked anything. Today, we reacted in the morning to positive vaccine news. The CEO of Pfizer said that the vaccine is effective if you have the third dose. It's effective against Omicron. But besides that, there's been nothing else really moving the market, especially with us not hearing about Powell. Tomorrow, you will be getting China data. They got like their PPI and CPI or their PCM or something like that, and like 4 other data points, but that's going to be key. And then CPI by Friday, that's probably going to be our next move right there, and that's when we should get a market reaction. So pretty straightforward. It's been a lot of confusion. It is hard to identify what exactly has moved us at every single point. Again, the last week or so, there has just been a lot of news, so a lot of this is kind of playing out a little bit. That's why some days it's like, wait, we're not even really reacting anything. Today was pretty quiet for the most part, but you're still seeing these moves take place. So just stay patient, keep your eye on the ball, and you will see the opportunities come your way. But before we get into the company news and events, I'm going to include this one here, just a little addition, but watch out for the Evergrande gray swan. So it's not a black swan because it's not unexpected. Everybody's heard about Evergrande, but over yesterday or today was the deadline. The company has officially defaulted. So they asked for one of those 30-day grace periods 30 days ago. They paid back a couple of them, but there was one that they missed. So technically, they have defaulted. And this is why I'm saying it's unofficially official, because usually when a company does default, either the company announces that they've defaulted or a credit agency makes the announcement, says, okay, they didn't pay it. Boom, here's the official default. So pretty much just wait for that announcement. If that does come in, that is a big catalyst. That is a credit event, but this is still a situation. It is developing, but we didn't hear about it surprisingly as much today, when a couple days ago, even last week, there was more rumors about it, but now the news came through, has the potential to cause a reaction. So just keep an eye on it, but don't be so quick to react. Wait for the credit event. But coming into the company news and events now, the first piece of news, Pfizer and BioNTech, they said this morning that a third dose of the vaccine gives effective protection against Omicron. This was the news that gave us some positivity in the morning, so it's good. Less fear about the virus and all of that. There was some negative South African hospital data today, and that could have sparked a little bit of a reaction, but today's news, it was good, but it just wasn't like good or bad. That's why, again, we just moved very small, but that's where a lot of this morning started. That was a big piece of news. The vaccine stocks did move, and I have a play related to it, but they're pretty much unchanged, I think, over the last week. They've had a lot of ups and downs to pretty much do nothing, but that one was important. And then throughout the day, this had the potential to be negative again, but the market was able to do its thing. And that's what I'm saying. The market is half responding to things, half kind of just playing out a volatility pattern, if that makes sense. But Boris Johnson today, he announced tightening measures on the United Kingdom. He's saying he's raising some of the rules. He even instructed companies to start planning for work from home and then bringing back some mask mandates and stuff like that. So we were kind of expecting it, but that's a step in the lockdown direction. Remember, before the Omicron headlines, that was what was freaking some people out. So keep that one in mind. And then the strategist for 2022, this one's actually pretty interesting, but coming into 2022, their forecasts are diverging by the second most in the last 10 years. Essentially, there is a 20% difference between the highest and lowest estimates of where investors or economists think the stock market is going to end up in 2022. So that's going to be a sign of volatility right there. So that was a good one. And then Apple, you saw the stock move today, and it caused a reaction on some stocks related to the App Store. If you remember that Epic Games trial, we saw this like a month ago. A lot of stocks like Roblox, Spotify, all that, they popped off. Those same stocks went down a little bit today, but then they recovered. The news was that Apple won a delay to the court-mandated changes from that case. So it was good for Apple, but nothing about the situation has changed. They just have the ability to delay the punishment agreement or the new changes a little bit. So it's not as if the overall verdict was reversed. So that had a little pop and drop there, but that was a big piece of news. And then Deutsche Bank, they got alerted by the Department of Justice of a possible breach of their criminal deal. So they had an agreement for like $135 million, I believe, in January, and somebody snitched on them for not reporting something recently. So they said they may be in violation. Remember, we had that with Wells Fargo a couple weeks ago, and it caused a similar reaction. Stock barely moved. There was like a 2 or 3 day reaction to it and then eventually bounced. So we'll see how that one plays out. And then AGR, their $4.3 billion deal to buy PNM, it is rejected by regulators. Both of the stocks dropped after hours, but this is actually the largest pending U.S. utility takeover. So pretty interesting. It has to do stuff even with some foreign stuff there and the buyer. So watch out for that. But both of the stocks were able to make a move. And then GM and Ford, their EV credits are now hinging on a Senate review of that policy about the $4,000 or $9,000 in electric vehicle rebates that go if you buy a union-made vehicle. So this is why you see Musk kind of tweeting about some of the politics lately. Manchin, he doesn't even support this. So there's a lot of opposition to it. This could have a big effect on both Tesla, but especially GM and Ford. So keep your eye out for any of those updates. And then that's pretty much it. There was a decent amount of news, not anything that caused the market to move more than 1%. Tomorrow's going to be a wild card, but it looks like Friday we're going to get a lot of action for sure. So I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 or actually 5 different plays. There's a lot that I'm looking at. And even if you see some of the plays I've been making over the last few days, it could explain this first one. NVIDIA, I grab calls, but there's no real catalyst to it. I just want some of that upside exposure. You're seeing I'm taking advantage of the low premiums. Yesterday, there was those SPY puts. I got those as a place marker. Those were a little bit cheaper, and even though NVIDIA was up today, I was able to get some calls near the low. They were down a lot 2 days ago, if you remember, so we even whiffed it on the Intel play, so that's something to keep in mind, but I'm just balancing it out, playing both ways, trying to see, but I'm mainly going for a winner. Now, there is also some backup news. There was positive legislation talks for some of the chips today regarding like TSM and passing that chip bill to get some of the production started. So we may get some good news on the back end, but for the most part, this is a purely momentum play, and I just want that exposure. The premiums have been 50-50, so I do think it is risky. Essentially, why I'm saying they're 50-50, the plays are still elevated, especially from 2 days ago, so the relative value is lower on the last 2 days. I have to use the TD Ameritrade chart. The E-Trade one's not loading, but you could even see over the last couple days here, it's higher on the last 2 days. That's the part I don't like, but since the earnings and everything else, these contracts are down quite a bit. So it does meet a little bit of the criteria that I'm looking for, but pretty much a momentum play. We're using it to balance everything out. We'll see what we can sell. It's weird with this thing out there. I mean, this is just looking, I need to make this smaller. It's messing with me. But the first play that I made there, I grabbed the February 385 calls. I grabbed one of them for $900. A pretty decent spread. It says it's down 2%, even though after we got it. So I'm thinking the premium should hold this level, but it's going to be 50-50 again. This is like that heaven or hell moment with a lot of contracts. So that's what makes this volatility so tricky. But that is the first play. Coming into the second play, Microsoft, I'm really liking this one just because the end of the day, I've been liking this play and I've been going after it, but the stock really has not just moved. It's actually underperformed in the last few days. That's why it hasn't moved, but the premiums have held decently. And even today, after that little end of the day move, they were able to come back a little bit. And that's what I'm liking about it. This move right here, they were down throughout the whole day. That little volatility at the end, that really got them going, and it brought all the contracts up. But what you'll notice about the ones I'm holding, the ones that we got, those 355s, I got to make some money. I'm still up 5%, but the premium's actually down from yesterday. But the ones with further out the money, that was the first play, those ones got to creep up a little bit. So if the premiums come to life and this thing could start showing positive signs like Apple, it's going to be a good play again with any momentum if things do start looking good. And even if it's good after Powell, this is going to be good. I mean, Microsoft has everything it needs to be a winner, but we do need to see it start to outperform like it kind of once was. Lately, it just hasn't, but still like that play, so going to be watching them. And then A-Bus, this is the third play. We got this a couple days ago. I think it's around the same price that I got it at, but the biotech and vaccine stocks, they're starting to move. And like I said earlier, some of the vaccine stocks, stocks, they're pretty much unchanged and haven't moved much, but this is why I'm liking ABUS. If you overlay the charts, it pretty much just follows Myrna, and it's a lot cheaper, and they have the exact same news, or they're related to them now. After that patent approval, there's all this speculation between those two, but essentially, it's just giving you beta to the whole vaccine name at a cheap price, but there is a little bit more of the risk. I'm willing to take it. I'm not too heavy in it, but I really like them. If we do get more vaccine stock moves, the Pfizers, the Myrna, they've been hard to trade. I may just go for more shares on ABUS, if anything. So, going to be watching that one. And then finally, Airbnb and Roblox. I'm putting these up on the watch list because I'm going to be looking at them, and they meet kind of a specific criteria here. They are recovering back to the levels that they were at before everything happened, and the premiums are actually holding with time. So Airbnb, some of those are still up 50% from the bottom. The ones that we're holding in January, they like go up to break even, then they'll come down, but essentially it's based on these levels, especially Roblox. We brought this one up today, and you'll even see it on the chart. Remember, Roblox was the safe haven at the beginning of the Omicron and even premature lockdown news and all of that. It only fell really on the last day and then the couple days afterwards, so it's getting back to that level, and with risk kind of still on the table, but now things feeling a little bit good. These were some of those winners, so I'm going to be focusing on them, and essentially the contracts with more time are holding up. The January's got sliced a little bit, and essentially if we get some momentum here in the market and these start to pick up, Roblo and Airbnb, these could be some good volatile plays. Again, you see how Airbnb, kind of the same. They dropped a little bit early off of the UK lockdown news, if you remember, but getting back to these levels, I mean, they're in the game and they're ready to play again. So still watching those. We still got plays, but those ones, they might create a unique opportunity, especially if we do in fact see that widening from here on out. But those were the main plays. As far as everything else, I only grabbed the Nvidia today, and then I grabbed the Stitch Fix in the morning. I put $250. I think I dropped like 80% on that one. That was a post-earnings play, so we're down 170 on it. I think lately this week, all of the morning plays, they just have not really been hitting the same in this volatility. I haven't been able to get really good prices on them, but still going to look for some of the opportunities out there, but that was the only other one I made. I am still holding those earnings plays for Chewy and Costco, and this play was even down 20% in the morning. There was a little bit of that volatility, and if you even had the Costco play, that thing was down, I think, like 40%. They ended up closing down 20, but they were able to come back up a little bit. But the logic is still the same with these. I'm holding these, so tomorrow they report. I'm probably going to exit both of these either in the morning or at close. Usually I hold them out. It just all depends if I have a gain or not. But whole point is I'm not going to hold these for earnings. Playing the strategy, if it's win or lose, I mean, we will either sell to close and seal our fate at gain or negative. So who knows? But those are the only other plays. Still holding the other ones. The Marquettas from yesterday are down. The Apples went up 100%. The Omas, they're fighting break even, and that's one I am going to be looking at tomorrow, and that's just a lesson on why you should pretty much get the shares instead, because if we got them at the same point, we would have already gotten I think 10% or something, a little bit more. But the options are kind of just holding that weird level. They were supposed to have the catalyst today. We didn't hear anything from them. Essentially just going to turn into a normal play. There's still some of that value add there, or again, people are waiting for more updates from that first data release, so there's no rush to essentially sell it. I think I'm just going to keep playing it out. The catalyst should have helped us, but it's not as if the IV was going crazy where we needed it, and now it's going to collapse. So going to be watching that one, still holding that. Again, watch Airbnb, Airbus, Roblox. I really like in general, so still holding our plays in our shares. And then Apple, still on that one, but there's been a lot of call activity, and you even saw the little pops here today. I want to see it tomorrow. I think it'll be at least good till the end of the week, or I'm going to kind of put a stop there at like 180. I think at 180, I want to see where the contracts are at and then just see and reassess the whole plan. So watch them. And then DWAC, they killed it today, up 21%. They even had one investor say something negative about it. I forgot who it was, but this is one of those names. They've been coming back to some of these levels. We saw some crazy recoveries today, so keep your eye out for them. Costco pre-earnings run-up play, they sold off. I like what I saw with the premium coming into close. They were down a lot more in the morning, but that earnings effect is still there, so we will see what happens. And then OMA and then Lucid, they announced the offering after hours. They started dropping, but keep your eye out for them. Tesla did good, and if a lot of the EV names, and depending what happens with the EV credits, I would just keep an eye out for them. But if Lucid does go down, I want to see it at the lower levels. Again, we've been watching it since there, and then it went crazy, so look at what some patience can do, but watch out for them. And then AMD held up better than the Nvidias. I was going to grab AMD instead of the Nvidias, so just going to keep an eye out for them. And then RH, Restoration Hardware, they beat on earnings. I forgot they had them, but this could be a good post-earnings play. Going to be watching them in the morning. And then WDC, they had a pretty weird drop today with STX. We didn't get the news, but keep your eye out for them. You could even see on the daily how they pretty much haven't moved. It's like it's something's brewing. That's what the chart looks like, so watch out for them. GameStop, they missed on earnings. They dropped, but not too bad. People were just kind of disappointed from not hearing any real updates from Ryan Cohen. You know, a lot of people had faith when he got added to the board, but we'll see how that one plays out. Maybe a post-earnings continuation, and then Chewy as well for the earnings. And then finally, TLT and the dollar. And TLT got clapped today, but it was actually a good sign, so it didn't negatively affect the market. Some people are like, wait a minute, why would this be good if TLT went down today? This is showing that the volatility from the last few days is actually calming down. If the bonds stayed up and the market was up, that would have meant that the bond market completely disagreed with it. But now this showed a little bit of agreement. That's why it was good. And you didn't see tech stocks react negatively to essentially TLT going down, rates going up, because we've been at this level. So just take a look. We're right here in the middle. So we had that bond auction today. It seems like the bond supply, like we talked about in the beginning of the week, it ended up paying off. It was able to clap some of those plays there. So the bonds are chilling out. The premiums are still high. We're going to see these next few days, especially after the CPI, and then you'll probably get the final move. You may even get a day or two movement prior on TLT before the Fed, so keep that in mind. But at the very least, this is perfect positioning. Some of the premiums are going to hold, and now TLT is pretty much at the same spot from when Powell started talking all that smack. So that is going to be the signal, and I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember who's your master, baby. Don't worry, but Tico loves you. I love you. And we'll see you in the morning. Let's go.